Hello, I'm Theolyn. Welcome to Signs and Wonders. Please be sure to subscribe to theolyn.com if you want to be notified about new videos coming up, and also a bit later down the line in 2021 about free webinars that I'm going to run. So the topic now is destiny. It's a topic that I keep coming back to in different guises. Is it written in the stars? To what extent can we author our own story? And of course, the Greeks had very particular ideas about destiny and fate, and that turns up in a lot of their mythological stories. A few years ago, I wrote a whole series of poems, a cycle of poems about the story of Jason. Now, Jason is a very destinious sort of story. First of all, he's taken by his mother to safety because his life is in danger. And his name originally is Diomedes. And his mother takes him to be looked after by the centaur Chiron. And there he grows up, and he grows up with this new name, Jason, which means healer, incidentally. And he then has to go on his own fateful, heroic kind of journey. And he has to confront a tyrant called Pelias, who's taken the kingdom that really is rightfully belonging to Jason. And so Jason has got to confront this character, Pelias. And I'll just read you a couple of little bits from my version of the story. So Pelias has had a warning from the oracle, the Delphic oracle, which is spoken by the Pythia, who's the priestess. And she whispers the messages that come up from the earth. And when people consult the oracle, the priestess is the one who delivers it. So Pelias, listen, Pelias, to the whispering Pythia deep in the cracking earth. Listen to the oracle who speaks your destiny from the smoking abyss. You will meet your death by an Aeolian hand. Beware, Pelias, beware the man with one sandal. He who steps towards you from your past will draw you towards your terrible future. Do not think you can pit your will against the fates. No amount of genocide can change the hand of destiny once the die is cast. So the tyrant is being told that whatever he does, he cannot go against the fates, even by committing genocide or, murdering all the children, which is what he was going to do. A bit like Herod, he was going to murder the children, which is why Jason's mother had taken him to safety. But notice that it's from his past that will come his terrible future. And Jason is from his past. Jason is a baby whose life was under threat. So whatever Pelias has done in the past will come up to meet him as his future. And we could apply that concept to the fate and the destiny of modern tyrants, or even the modern president of the United States. No amount of genocide, no amount of kicking and screaming and bringing people, to try and, fight their way through to the seat of government. None of that is going to change his destiny. And this is what happens in the old Greek story. Now, Jason sets off on his journey and he comes to a river. And in the river, which he has to cross, which is tumbling and churning, he comes across a very old lady. And what he doesn't know is that the old lady is a goddess in disguise. So she is Hera, who is going to be his guide and his muse. And this old lady, all rag and bones she is, complains that she can't get across the water. She's too fragile. Please will Jason help her? And he is not very keen on the idea, but he has been trained, hasn't he? He wishes he had the nerve to tumble her into the roar of the river. But he recalls that the wise Chiron warned him to treat every stranger with courtesy. And then he collapses like a drowned dog on the dry bank, his linen shirt torn, his sandal floating down the stream. And then the vision appears, a column of light from heaven to earth, and the voice of the goddess circles in his head, spirals through every cell of every limb, filling every fibre with singing, a new song, the song of the hero stepping into his own story. Now, in that encounter with the goddess disguised as the old lady, what has happened? He has lost his son. And, of course, that was what Peleus was warned against. So then Peleus is at home in his lovely palace, and he's enjoying the luxury that he has. You know, he's been looked after by lovely young ladies who oil his body, massage him, and he's got the riches which don't really belong to him because he's taken them from the real owner. So he's now going to be confronted, and a messenger arrives to tell him and to warn him that there's been an arrival on the sands of his shore. Somebody has arrived. Only Peleus can hear the breath of the Furies whistling through the gold-leafed palace, singing around the Palladian columns. Beware the man with one sandal. The goddess Hera is calling for revenge. She has tested her hero in the torrent. She has filled his heart with fire and his limbs with iron. And now, at last, Jason has arrived. He is walking into your fat cat lap of luxury to deliver your destiny. So here we have a Greek story about how your past will come up to meet you and you cannot escape from your destiny. And this is just one of many kinds of stories that we get in Greek mythology and of course in other literature as well, that there is some kind of destiny. It is written. There's something that's going to unfold, whether we like it or not. What we could say about Peleus and about other tyrants who think that they can steal and murder and override the common good that other people are entitled to, what we can say about all of them is in some ways they are being driven by unconscious drives inside them. So they are not listening, they are not opening their hearts to a deeper divine intention. They are listening to something that pulls them towards a dark destiny. Because some people step into a destiny that is actually more holistic or is more beneficial. Nelson Mandela. There's a story there of a man of destiny. Or Winston Churchill, a man of destiny, and they're not all men. There are women of destiny as well. Florence Nightingale comes to mind. and perhaps the Pankhurst, Pankhurst. So men and women can step into a sense of destiny. Now, that destiny is to do with something deep in the consciousness that wants to work through this person, and this person can listen and weigh up what the call might be. And sometimes it comes to them really early. Sometimes they really know at a very young age that there is something in particular that they have to do, that they want to do. But they may be driven by unconscious feelings, that have arisen in them when they're very young because of the way they've been treated when they were very young. So there's a psychological aspect that potentially overlays what we could call the soul aspect. So the soul has to contend with issues that arise from a psychological reaction to what the soul meets when it arrives in the world. And this brings us back to things that we've been talking about recently relating to astrology. For example, a recent previous Signs and Wonders videos was about Mars, the god of war, and how we all have that drive to get what we want. Okay, but are we going to actually kill for it? Are we going to go around saying, off with his head? That was another, or her head. That was another great historical tyrant, somebody like Henry VIII, an English king. Are we going to stand up there and saying, yes, I'm the big one, I'm going to win, and I'm going to win whatever? Are we going to say, yeah, there's something in there, in me, that wants to succeed, wants to step into what I feel is my destiny, but how do I do that in relation to what else is going on around me? So can we write our own destiny, is the question. And if we can write it, how do we go about writing our destiny in relationship to the larger destiny of the human community? I suggest that in order to write your own destiny, you've got to get to know the gods, so to speak. In other traditions, these would be called the archangels. In psychology, they will be called the archetypes. And so you've got to know what's going on in your personal inner kingdom, because that's where the story is being written. And if those drives in you are in competition and not kind of happily managing the situation so the best possible outcome arises in the story that you're writing, then this destiny may kind of go out of kilter. So think about what you feel about the word destiny. What does that feel like to you? What do you mean by your own destiny? Is there something in you that knows that you need to do something in particular in this present incarnation? Have a good think about that. And come back again for more Signs and Wonders videos. And I'm just going to cover this topic, here and there, and possibly during the year we'll do a special webinar about it. I haven't planned all the webinars yet for 2021. So if you pick up on some of my videos and you've got some thoughts about what would be really helpful as a topic for a webinar, then make sure you email me. Make sure you're subscribed as well. And then I can keep an eye on what people are responding to and design the webinars to be most useful for you. So many blessings, and keep shining, and make sure that every word in your own story is one that you've really considered carefully, just like any good author would do. Okay, see you again before long. Bye-bye.